This is NSB Wire saying hello once again to all of you YouTubers out there, as well as to the followers of my blog at movingwire.blogspot.com. In today's micro tutorial, Bending Basics, video number 1, we will be meeting the pliers that I use every day in my wire sculpting. So, without further ado, we will start on the left and work our way towards the right. First in line, we have these end nippers, which provide a broad cutting surface for a wide variety of cutting needs. They provide a lot of leverage due to the short lever arm on the cutting side and the long lever arm on the side of the handles. They provide enough leverage that I can cut multiple pieces of wire in a single bite. So we'll do 3 pieces here, like that. Explosive, isn't it? Set that down and collect our stray piece of wire. Set that to the side. They also provide advantage over the cutters on, say, these needle nose pliers, for instance, because if I wanted to cut off that tail piece on the connection right there, I can't get in to cut it off because it's too close to this piece here. So, take my end nippers and I can get right in there and cut it off and make a nice clean thing, and then go in with my pliers and just push it down. So that's the other advantage to the end nippers. The designated cutting tool, you can get right up on your subject and just cut it off. Easy as pie. Next, we have our needle nose pliers. I've had these for several years, since I was a kid. They belonged to my dad, but I kind of commandeered them for my artwork. They are used for detail work and general bending as well, because the needle point allows you to make small shapes. But you can also use it further down on the tool to make more square corners and give yourself a little bit extra leverage. Very useful for general bending and also for making connections, twisted connections like that. And just kind of bend that around like so. There's nothing in particular that I'm making here, but you get the idea. Then we have our angle nose pliers, our right angle pliers. And these I use for reaching inside of pieces, but also for making spirals on one plane. And it's nice to have because it keeps it in one plane, because you get an even amount of grip across the surface of the plier, whereas with these, due to the fulcrum being here and going out towards the ends, you have different amounts of grip in different places. If, for example, I grab this, you can see that this side has less of a grip on it than the side closest to the fulcrum. Whereas on these, it's spread evenly. And that allows me to grip things for when I make spirals, like so. Next, we have the workhorse, the lineman's pliers. Now these are nice because they provide a lot of leverage with the long handles. They allow you to make square bends easily. Not as general purpose as your needle nose pliers, but you get a lot more gripping power with these. And so you're able to make bends that are more difficult or require more pressure or grip strength. Also, because of the toothed back area here, you can get extra lots of leverage for crimping. So with this end, if I crimp this down, see how it goes to the side, but if I straighten it out, there's still a little area of white that you can see because it's not crimped all the way. But with the back end of the plier, if I put it back in there and I hold the two pieces with my finger, I can crimp it and there's no holes or gaps in the crimp because that provides you with a lot of leverage right there. These are one of my favorite pliers that I own. Next we have the fencing pliers. These are Ace brand, but they are good for twisting. They're also good for cutting. It allows you to cut in two directions. I can cut going in, or if I have an especially difficult piece, I can put it in the cutter and I can use my whole body and spread it apart like that to cut. Also, in a zombie apocalypse situation, you have a nice skull crusher here, which is actually used in fencing as a staple remover, and then you would use the hammer side here to hammer the staples into the fence post out on the farm. But what I use these for primarily is in conjunction with my vice grips here. And I put the vice grips like that as a base, and I usually hold it with my feet, and then I take this part here and I twist, and it just gives you a nice twisting action. And if I wanted to, I could twist it off, but I'm not going to. And then I'll show you where this part really shines here, is because it shears it off, it doesn't leave a sharp edge, and it keeps the twist from undoing. So I just cut like that, and there you go. It provides a little bit more leverage, well, a lot more leverage than these, but if you look at the size of the hole here and the placement of the hole for the cutter, you're not going to reach in close to anything with this, and it provides much less of a cutting surface. And then you have the vice grips. Like I said, I use these as more of a base than actual bending or twisting pliers. And they do have a cutter as well, but you know, it's not as useful as the cutter on the end nippers, and it's not as convenient as having the cutter in your needle nose plier or in your lineman's plier. Now that you've been introduced to the types of pliers that I find to be most useful when sculpting wire, you should be ready for the next installment in this tutorial series. So be on the lookout for video number 2, in which I will be showing you some of the fundamentals of bending, including twists, spirals, loops, and more. By the end of the second tutorial, you should be able to make your very own abstract sculpture. Be sure to check out movingwire.blogspot.com for updates. Until next time,
Happy bending.